Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of the DCEU Daily. Welcome back to Big Mouth, and you are very welcome. And don't forget, you can tag me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, where you become, at the end of each episode of the DCEU Daily, the star of the show. Scott Edwards, again, will be the star of this show as I answer his Superman and Lois question. So you can tag me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, ask me anything, but you can go further than that. You can suggest topics for other videos and articles for other videos, or for the DCEU Daily as well. This is a fan channel. This is your channel. This is for DC fans, movie fans, TV fans, and I embrace you and I thank you for your support. Thanks to you, I get about 20 to 50 on a good day, maybe even 70 to 100 views. Now, that may not sound very many to you, but I appreciate every one of you, because this is just the beginning of my ambitions for this channel. Wow, Zack Snyder pleases fans, yes. What a day of positivity for any DC and any Snyder fan yesterday, as we sat there and Zack gave us, for starters, gave us this, a colour picture of his Steppenwolf. Yes, this Steppenwolf, this beautiful Steppenwolf. Now, someone said he didn't like this design because his face is squeezed in. So let's just try and explain this. Isn't it beautiful? It is brilliant. Right, this is armour. This is not his skin. He's wearing armour. Now, Zack, on his shot-by-shot commentary of his trailer, explained to us that we will see him without this armour on in his Justice League movie, in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Isn't that awesome? So a day yesterday, listen, I wish I could do a really long video and I put his commentary up and we can analyse it and react to it, but it was over an hour. And let me just tell you, my internet's so shit. If I did that, and I'm so gutted that I can't do that, you wouldn't get the video for 5 bloody days. The internet I have here, my uploading speed is terrible, and I certainly have to do something about that. That takes more money. I want to make this channel more professional, but I need to get over 1,000 subscribers. It's just not working out for me right now, but I'm happy where we are with the channel, and I'm glad for your continued support. So yes, a brilliant day yesterday. Now this, by the way, behind me is the colour version of Zack's new trailer. Now this is, when I call it a new trailer, it's not a brand new trailer. It's the original first trailer. Did you see that? Did you see that? We finally have confirmation there that that isn't Supergirl, that is Superman. Now, before everyone starts coming in on me, and I noticed yesterday someone making fun of us lot who said that's Supergirl. First of all, the original shot, when you see the legs, it looks like a female legs. No one can say they don't look like females' legs from an angle, right? So we all made an assumption. We are wrong about that assumption. Now, I believe Zack Snyder always had big plans for Supergirl. He even commented on that on his shot by shot. Now, whether or not Supergirl will be in this movie, I don't know. Now, Zack says no, but Zack could be, stretching the truth to surprise us. But I think in his Man of Steel 2, which I believe we will get, I think Supergirl will be very much involved in that. So again, as I say, a brilliant day, so much money raised for suicide prevention. That was Zack's real motivation for doing this. But while doing this yesterday, 3 years since Justice League was released. So from something very, very negative, we got something very, very positive, a celebration. Because we don't have to worry about Justice League anymore. We are getting Zack Snyder's Justice League, and it's absolutely fantastic. As I say, what a day we had yesterday. Over an hour of Zack sitting there, giving back to the fans, talking about his shots of that trailer. Now, it's interesting, when we got to The Flash running through the nightmare future, he said he didn't want to say anything about that. And I appreciate that from Zack, because he doesn't want to spoil anything. So that's very, very important as well. Now, my time, it was about 7 p.m. I couldn't watch the whole thing. I was making dinner for me and my dad. My dad's disabled. He needs to eat. He needs to have his pills at a certain time. So very difficult. So I will be going through that on my own to analyse it and see some things that maybe I haven't spoken about today. But it was absolutely, look, it was absolutely fantastic and an absolute celebration. I thank Zack for, giving up his free time. Just to say about Zack Snyder, everything him and Deb have gone through, and for them to come through the other side is brilliant. And I think us fans have helped them get through that. They've even said that before. As I say, yesterday was a day of celebration and positivity, but unfortunately, some people will always have hate in their hearts, as I'm about to explain. But before I go to the negative, let's just look at some of these pictures Zack put up yesterday. These are beautiful. That is Cyborg. #UsUnited. We are united. We don't always have to agree or like each other, but we are united. This is a beautiful fandom, and the Snyderverse is a beautiful thing. So that's one of them. So then we go to Aquaman. So this is Aquaman. Yeah, another brilliant picture. Absolutely fantastic. Then we've got the team together. Look at that. Wow, look at that. Is beautiful, isn't it? So what we got here, hang on. Oh, yeah, this is one of the extra shots. And this is, of course, is it Hippolyta, right? That's Wonder Woman's mum. That's Diana's mum. What a great shot this is, by the way. I love this actor. She's brilliant. I can't wait to see her real proper performance in Zack Snyder's Justice League. So what else we got? Now, this is the Superman shot. Let's just zoom in a bit. Now, basically, Cyborg is kind of beaming in this image, according to Zack. This is what he said in his shot-by-shot analysis. This is a beautiful shot. And this is confirmation that this is Superman and not Supergirl, but from an angle, the original angle before we got this does actually make you think it's Supergirl, but this is beautiful. And I think that's it. What else we got? Let's have a look. Oh, no. This is our friend Ray Fisher as Cyborg, staring longingly and deeply out of the window, contemplating what he can do. That's according to Zack. Another beautiful image. And I think this is actually a new kind of... He added this shot into the trailer, and this is Darkseid, a.k.a. Euxis. We should be really calling him the younger version of Darkseid. What a beautiful shot. This man just knows how, comic books should look. But it's not just about that. He's not just a visual director. He really does give the emotion in his movies. And I don't care what anyone says. Just absolutely fantastic. I want you to meet Sam Adams, senior editor of the Slate Culture. This man is a verified. Now, what I find amazing is that George Lazenby, who played James Bond in one film on Her Majesty's Secret Service, can't get verified. And I'm trying to start some kind of a movement to get the man verified. So Sam Adams, nobody can get verified. Now, why am I going for Sam? Right, let's have a look at what he had to say. COVID is like a Zack Snyder DC movie in that it sucks and no one wants it. Wow, now that's toxic. So this is how I responded in a quote tweet. I don't like talking about negativity towards Zack, but it's important to shoot it down as quickly as you see it. Now, obviously, Sam's platform is struggling. He thought he could get some attention for himself. Sam, this is not the way to do it. So this is what I had to say to Sam. Like your platform then, Sam, laughing emoji. This is Sam who compared a movie director he doesn't like to a pandemic that's destroyed lives. Don't be so coy, Sam, but you already subscribed to HBO Max so you can watch and say you don't like it. He's claiming nobody wants a film. That's trending. Laughing emoji. And this is how you sit these people down. I didn't swear. I didn't attack him. I wasn't verbally, intrusive. I wasn't toxic, but I felt I had to respond. Zack will never respond to these idiots, and nor should he, and nor should I, and nor should you. But sometimes, look, it's an instinctive thing. This is why they call our movement toxic. But at the end of the day, when you think about Sam and you think that the fact that he's verified, and, I've been trying to get myself verified for a very long time. I'm developing the first English-speaking dramas here on Super TV. I can't get verified, but this idiot, this nobody, can get verified. This hater, this man full of toxicity and hate in his soul, is verified. That says something about social media and the world we live in. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. But let's go back to the Zack Snyder Appreciation Society, right? Because this is a really beautiful article from Comic Book Debate. Zack Snyder's Justice League, a long-awaited cinematic win. The origin of the Snyder Cut movement might seem recent, but it began even before Justice League 2017 was out. At least within Zack Snyder fans, as soon as Zack Snyder stepped down during the production of the movie, and it was claimed that he had picked Joss Whedon to take over the rest of the production for him, it felt unnatural. It certainly did. Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder's directorial styles aren't similar at all. And when it was announced that heavy reshoots would occur to complete the film, almost every Snyder fan knew that the film that was going to be released wasn't going to be perfect by any means. Shortly after the release of the film, an unsettling feeling could be seen within DC fans, and the hashtag release the Snyder Cut was born. Originally, it seemed as if it was a blind reach into a void, since Zack Snyder had recently left the project, and Warner Brothers were in no shape, way or form ready to bring him back into the spotlight. Many blame the Marvel Cinematic Universe's success for this direct alienation of Snyder's vision within cinema goers. But I would argue that perhaps the blame rests with time itself. Cinema goers hadn't experienced a fully immersive and so-called dark film incorporating comic book characters in the way Snyder was incorporating them. In comparison, they had the Marvel Cinematic Universe making relatively shorter films that could be watched multiple times with laughter as its primary form of entertainment. That changed when Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame came out, and all the beloved characters of these cinema goers were entrenched in hopelessness, grief, and uncertainty that ultimately ended with victory, excuse me, but effectively wrapped up the story of the primary characters of the MCU. It was Joker where the general audience experienced the darker side of comic book characters and the realization that dawned upon them. Snyder was making films ahead of their time. He was incorporating heavy and thought-provoking subjects within his films, and the cinematic experience that was derived out of them was similar to that of Joker. During all this, Snyder's fans kept rallying for the release of the Snyder Cut, facing their own sets of challenges. The response of the studio and that of the media, however, they didn't back down. And as supportive as they are labelled to be, it is without a doubt a fact that the movement would have died down if Snyder were an ordinary filmmaker. Zack Snyder's Man of Steel and Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice were a breath of fresh air within cinema, where entertainment was being valued more than the art of filmmaking. If Zack Snyder has illustrated something through his films, it is that he genuinely cares about each and every aspect of his films, and he doesn't believe in compromising them for the material gain of the studios or even himself. November 2019 saw a shift in mood when Jason Momoa publicly spoke up for the Snyder Cut on November the 17th. Twitter was speaking up for it as well. The hashtag release the Snyder Cut was tweeted over 800k times, and even the cast, Ben Affleck, Ray Fisher, Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa, publicly voiced their support for the release of the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Even though no formal announcement was received for well over 6 months, the general feeling of victory was evident within the fans. In May 2020, Zack Snyder finally announced the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League at the end of a Man of Steel watch party stream, joined by Henry Cavill and a few DC fans. Zack Snyder's Justice League was announced to be released on HBO Max in 2021 in 4 episodes. As Zack Snyder finishes up additional photography of Zack Snyder's Justice League after having released the teaser, to say that his vision would be completed for the world to see feels like victory, not just for Snyder and his fans, but for films in general. Someone as hard-working and dedicated as Zack Snyder always deserved to complete his vision for the world to see. Although it seems to be late, but somehow timing is on Snyder's side. With the pandemic and films halting productions, it seems that Zack Snyder's Justice League will be one of the few sources of entertainment for comic book fans in 2021, and that too is well deserved. I would say this, filming hasn't been kind of halted mostly. Filming, they now have a system of filming films. It's just that they can't release them in cinemas, and that will halt kind of us being able to go and see a variety of films next year. That's how you really should be saying. Today, 3 years after the initial release date of Justice League, it would be true to say that Snyder and his fans have waited a long time for this project to be released. For someone that has waited as long as he has, he deserves to be in the bright light of the spotlight, and it can only be labelled as what it is. Poetic justice. What a brilliant article, yes. Now, this was posted yesterday, of course, and as I've already said, yesterday, for most of us, was a day of celebration, to celebrate Zack, to celebrate the Snyderverse, to celebrate the DCEU that's still going strong. Zack was the one to put those building blocks in place, and his franchise is still going very strong. A franchise with a variety of tones, a variety of colour palettes, a variety of stories, and a variety of characters. So it's a big success story that stemmed so many billions of dollars in box office receipts as well, which is another fantastic achievement for Zack and those people involved with those other films. So as I say, for me, yesterday goes down as a beautiful day. I would implore you to go back and watch his shot-by-shot analysis of his trailer. As I've already said, this is the colour version. HBO Max put this up late last night. This is the new version of the trailer with the new scenes. A couple of new shots, as we can see. I don't think anything too groundbreaking. I think the big thing was the colour picture of Steppenwolf. That was really, really exciting. But it was just great to have, as the author of the article says, Zack in the spotlight positively. He was even responding to some positive verified accounts on Twitter. Zack's kind of a lot more on Twitter now. He doesn't post that much as he does on Vero, but he's always watching. He's watching the fans posting. He's seeing what we're doing. So always be mindful that Zack's eyes are everywhere. But a beautiful day for Snyder and us, his fans, are just a day of celebration. And I'm still beaming from cheek to cheek about the whole thing. As you all know, I have varied opinions of Margot Robbie since Birds of Prey, positive and negative, but she's been very responsive and positive towards getting David Ayer's original cut of Suicide Squad released. And this is what she had to say. Margot Robbie says that she would be interested to see David Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad. I know we shot a lot of stuff that didn't make it into the movie. I would be very curious myself. Wow. Thank you, Margot Robbie, for your positivity. This can only help get David Ayer's cut released of the film. She's a very popular actor, whatever, and I like her to a point, but I don't like kind of the mentality she put for Birds of Prey. Let's see how she does in James Gunn's Suicide Squad. Really looking forward to that film and seeing her in that film. I think James's fresh take on that film will be very, very exciting. But now, talking of James Gunn, before I go to Scott Edwards' question of the day, I want to talk about James Gunn and the Suicide Squad. Now, James Gunn is very good friends with Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor for 7 years in Smallville. Now, in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Michael was under prosthetics, but he did cameo in that film. Now, what about this, Smallville fans and DC fans? What if Lex Luthor cameos in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad? But not Jesse Eisenberg, not another actor. Maybe Michael Rosenbaum actually is able to cameo with his Smallville Lex Luthor in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. How would you like that? That's a little theory I had this is a bit gross, as I was sitting on the toilet. I was just there in my thoughts. I know it's a bit gross. Don't think about it if you don't want to. But yeah, I was thinking, well, Rosenbaum and Gunn are very good friends. He's already cameoed in Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy. We've heard nothing about Rosenbaum cameoing in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, which I think is odd. Seeing all his friends that we've seen in other films and in the MCU universe are kind of in this film. But we haven't heard anything about Rosenbaum. So think about this for a minute, and I want your thoughts down below in the comments. How would you like it if Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor cameoed in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad? Because I've got a good little feeling it could be happening. Now, wouldn't that be awesome? Have a think about that. Come on, everyone, don't be shy. Tag me on Twitter with your video topic suggestions, article suggestions, or your questions for me. So, this is the question of the day from Scott Edwards. At Movies TV Mad, my request for tomorrow's DCEU Daily is simple. I love Superman and Lois Lane as characters so much too. They encourage and uplift me whenever I watch them or read them in a comic, and inspire me to be my best. I just want to hear how they encourage you too. Well, in terms of Lois Lane, and we should start with Lois before Superman, we should leave the best till last, right? I'm not casting dispersions on Lois. There's a lot of misunderstanding about Lois's character sometimes when I see her written and talked about. First of all, she's not a feminist. She's a very passionate young journalist, but she's a journalist because ultimately she cares about people. You know, she talks a lot and she gets herself into trouble with what she says. She doesn't think before she talks at times, but ultimately she is a carer of people. This is why she's a journalist. She does this, she investigates, she exposes people like Lex Luthor because she cares about people. She is really the human Superman, if you like. She hasn't got any powers, but she puts herself at risk. I know she knows Superman's going to save her, but that's not the point. Not only is she a very strong woman, and I know some very strong women, real life women, not like the ones we see in films that are not represented in the right way anyway, who are just dumb and arrogant, and that's arrogance isn't strength, by the way, it's stupidity. But Lois Lane cares about people, and this is the core of the reason why she's a journalist. Now on to Superman, and this is why she inspires me, by the way. You're asking why I'm inspired by these characters. I'm inspired by her because she's a good person who really hasn't, she's lived in a military background. Her father didn't have much time for her. Her mum died of cancer. Well, that's what they say on Smallville, and that's the backstory they gave her on Smallville. I'm not sure about the comics. So I'm inspired that she seeks truth to protect humanity. And there's no, most journalists these days couldn't give a toss about me or you. So that's an inspiration for people to actually become journalists. And I think some women have become journalists and men because of Lois Lane. So she's an absolute icon. Now to Superman. Superman is the ultimate immigrant, the ultimate refugee. And what's brilliant about him is that he's got all this power and he uses it for good. He's brought up in a very contemporary background on a farm in Kansas. Basically, he's got very pure-hearted parents who brought, they teach him, what right and wrong is. Now, everyone has got their opinions of what's right and what's wrong. So they teach him to care about people, to put people first, And because they teach him this is why he becomes who he becomes. Because if anyone else was his parents, he'd have the powers, but maybe he'd make mistakes. Now, it's interesting when you look at Man of Steel, his father's teaching him things like maybe you should have let those people die. But because of the upbringing that Jonathan gave him, he actually looks at Jonathan and says, you know what, mate? He doesn't say it. I would have done that again. I'll still save those people and put myself at risk. That's who Superman is. And this is why I love the character so much, because he puts mankind... In fact, in the comics, Superman is not just the hero of Earth. He's the hero of the universe, and he's got a big place in that future. And this is what Jor-El means in MOS, when they would join you in the sun. So he's such an inspirational character. I'll tell you two things about Superman. He's inspirational because he inspires you to be a good person just by his acts, his sacrificial acts. But also, because of all these amazing powers, he's inspirational too. Now, his powers don't define him, but because he can fly, because he can do what he can do, it's very exciting and glamorous for young boys and young girls. And so he's got so many elements to him. And I just look up to the character. I just think he's pure, he's brilliant, and he will always be relatable. And I think he related to so many people who came from other countries to America. And I think that's going to always be an element of Superman. In a way, I wish we could kind of see the immigrant element of Superman a lot more. They did spend an episode of it on Smallville, by the way. And when Superman met an immigrant boy and he tried to explain to Martha, who didn't want to help the boy at first, this is me, Mum. This is who I was. I'm an illegal immigrant, right? She's trying to say it's not the same thing, but it is the same thing. So Smallville actually looked at that element of Superman. Actually, Smallville actually represented and commented on so many elements of Superman, which I think is absolutely beautiful. So that's my answer to your question, Scott. You know what's interesting to me is everyone thinks what Zack Snyder and we went through with Justice League is one kind of situation in the history of DC, and it's not. Because Richard Donner went through the same thing, yes. He was employed by the Salkinds, who wanted to penny pinch and, put him under a lot of pressure for the first Superman film, Superman the movie. But he was able to hold them off. And, you've got to remember, Richard Donner didn't have CGI. There were a few effects houses and art houses, as he explains. But it was very difficult. He was breaking ground with this film. He had to create new ways of doing this, and it still looks beautiful, by the way. Now, if you compare it to modern CGI, you could say it's ropey, blah, blah, blah. But let's just remember when he did it and when Zack Snyder has worked in the industry. It's very different. So it's not comparable. So Richard Donner was sacked from Superman 2, even though he shot most of the movie. Very similar to Zack again. And in the end, we got some kind of director's cut, but it wasn't the total vision because he wasn't able to make all of Superman 2. And I think what Tom Mankiewicz and Richard Donner did with the first movie was sensational for back then. It was a movie made for that time. It was a romantic movie. It was a romantic adventure. And I think his version of Krypton, John Barry's version of Krypton, is beautiful. They did what they could do with what they had. And John's design of the fortress being, this crystal, as Krypton is a beautiful concept. Now, Zack Snyder's Krypton is very, very different. It's vast in scope because he has the funds and the technology to do it. And it's stunning. And I said yesterday, I don't want to leave Zack Snyder's Krypton. I never wanted to leave Dick Donner's Krypton. But my point is to people who hate on Richard Donner all the time from the Snyderverse, just remember, he's a movie director like Zack, with all the kind of morals that Zack has and passion for filmmaking. So it's very, very important to understand that Zack's situation it's not the only kind of one in the history of DC Comics. Anyway, I want you to comment down below. I want you to like, share and subscribe. Tell everyone about the channel and the videos. And I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.